And it looks like we are going to be in the game. I'm going to have to quickly fix the summoner blockers right here, just because they did break when the client crashed. So, going to have a little bit of a readjustment. And there you go. Perfect. That didn't take that long.
I've been seeing a lot of ribbons other than honorable opponent recently. Have they sort of lowered the expectation to get stuff like helpful and teamwork ribbons? Because I've been seeing a lot of those. I even saw a helpful ribbon actually, not a friendly, not a teamwork. It was a blue helpful ribbon, and I'm like, wow. I think this is the first one I've actually seen. So we're seeing a lot of those recently.
Maybe attitudes are just improving.
I I don't I don't know.
Maybe we just get a lot
Play
of
solo
nice
queue.
people in our tournaments.
Maybe. Maybe we do. But we do have the first couple of bans going out. Graves, Thresh, and Mumu Caitlyn. Obviously, we already talked about Thresh and how he's that really, really strong ban. Caitlyn has also been banned. She's a very good AD carry. As we've seen before, she's got a lot of early game dominance with the amount of range she has, as well as the amount of damage and scaling on her Piltover Peacemaker. Makes her basically one of the heaviest poke bot lanes in the game. It's her and her Thresh and Ezreal are really the top poke AD carries, and even Ezreal kind of gets edged out by both Varus and Caitlyn. So that's a very strong ban. They definitely don't want to be losing this game in the early game. So one thing I can expect is that the purple team might actually end up going for sort of a late game scaling comp, maybe some AoE team fights along with that. I don't really think a Nasus is going to be played. It's always possible, but they don't really seem like they want to lose it in the early game.
Yeah, we always see the brothers being picked up quite a lot because their ultimates very, very strong. But you are correct. Nasus, is a little weaker in the early game. You gotta wait till a few levels. He can do some powerful ganks, level 4 upwards usually, and then he gets really powerful when he hits 6. But ooh, Rammus, they're listening to me, and they better not be trolling me.
They already changed it back. But Lulu is actually a really good support, and the purple team, in an effort to ban out those poke bot lanes, they did leave Lulu out there, so Lulu has been picked up, and Lulu is one of the heavy poke lanes, as we know. And Lulu actually really works with a lot of different AD carries. She's a very, very versatile support. You can play her with another champion who has a lot of poke, maybe Varus or Ezreal I might be able to see in this game. I think Ezreal's going to be a little bit more. I would think Ezreal would probably be played over Varus. I would expect to see him a little bit sooner than Varus being picked for the blue team because he has an escape, which Lulu doesn't really give you too much of an escape until level 6. She's got a Glitter Lance and a speed buff, but she doesn't really have any hard CC until she gets her ultimate. So having a champion with high mobility like Ezreal can complement her pretty well in the bot lane. So we'll have to see what they end up picking up. Meanwhile, on the purple team, they're going for the globals actually, going for both Nocturne and Shen. We might actually be seeing a Twisted Fate in the mid lane. Been a little bit more popular than Karthus in terms of mid-lane global pressure champions, but obviously Twisted Fate was banned last game, so we're going to have to see what the purple team ends up picking for their mid. Twisted Fate, I think, is going to happen, and as we see, Varus has been picked, a good champ to complement Lulu with the amount of poke she has.
Yeah, and that is going to have a very pokish lane, and that is also going to help Varus. Does have a lack of mobility, as we know, but that ultimate make him very tanky. Going to make it so if they dive on him, going to be able to defend himself, going to be able to actually fight really easily and possibly kite away, especially with the speed up ability Lulu does have. And we're floating over the bot lane picks for the purple team here. And we might see a Tristana, and ooh, very strong early game engagement there. Tristana brings a lot of early game to the table, then kind of really doesn't do all that much. And then, like, the thing about Tristana is she is really well. She does really well all game if you play really well. She has a great early game burst, but she also is one of the strongest late game carries for her passive draw a bead and for her 90% attack speed buff. And the Leona just complements that both of those really well.
Yeah, the blue team is really going to want to play defensive for the first couple levels of the game because level 2, Tristana Leona has so much killing potential. Tristana's rocket jump is very high scaling in the early game. It's also a gap closer and slows the enemy, so it's a really good ability to use to get close and to make sure that they don't move. If you follow if you follow up Leona's initiation, Zenith Blade as well as her Shield of Daybreak, you can get a ton of damage down by not only doing all of that CC and damage in burst, you can also have Leona's passive, which amplifies all the damage that Tristana will be doing against this bot lane. So that's going to be a very, very nice pickup for the purple team. They're going to have a really strong early game bot lane, and I Hecarim, unfortunately, isn't really one to gank too often at level 2. He might actually want to consider staying near the bot lane just in case something like that happens.
By the way, we are going to see Ezreal locked in, so either the Varus or the Ezreal probably going to be sent
Ezreal
mid.
mid.
Maybe we could have one of them top nose, but we're going to see a very interesting team comp. And Heimerdinger probably
No, it's
trolling.
just a troll.
Probably trolling.
Don't even talk about those picks before they get locked in. It's probably going to change from Heimerdinger. Until it gets locked in, I wouldn't get excited if I were you. But on the blue team,
Heimerdinger is a very he's usable.
yeah, usable is the right word. I don't know. Viable certainly not, but usable maybe. I think he might be watching the stream as well, just saying, yes, I'm going back to Heimer. I'm going to pick him, but we know that it's probably not going to happen. So I want to go back to the blue team and their picks. Ezreal is probably going to be the one going to the mid lane, because I don't really see mid lane Varus too much, although it can happen. A mid lane Ezreal just does a lot more burst in that term, and he's either going AP Ezreal or he's going AD Ezreal. So we're going to have to see if they run the double AD or going for AP Ezreal, and they do have a chance to go double AP or double AD because they do have Elise, who's got very strong AP damage. They have Lulu, who's got, she's got a little bit of her own AP damage, and they've already got Hecarim for a huge tank, so they might be able to go double AD with this comp. Meanwhile, on the purple team, they did pick Akali mid, so she's really going to be trying to assassinate Ezreal as much as possible, and that's really going to be good for her. She has to hold out until level 6. I want to see Ezreal start poking and pressuring against Akali really, really early because he is a ranged champion. Akali's not. She's going to have to get a little bit closer in order to CS, so hopefully Ezreal can put the pressure on before she gets to level 6, because if she does, then she's got a ton of killing power against a squishy champion like Ezreal.
I do have to say I do appreciate what Nanner did there, the little trolling with the Heimerdinger, even down to the last second. So being really dedicated, that's really good. And I do have to say I agree with you. Ezreal's really going to need to assert his dominance early, because once it hits 6, Ezreal is not a tanky champion by any means. So he's just going to get blown up by that Akali unless he really, really keeps on heavy pressure. And she's also going to have to be worried about Hecarim, who's incredibly fast. But the Arcane Shift definitely going to lend itself to Ezreal's aid right here. Going to make it so Akali's going to have to blow more ult charges. And in all honesty, the mid lane, the towers aren't very far away from where you're CSing. So Ezreal could very well flash when Akali charges him. Very well flash and Arcane Shift under the tower. Close a lot of distance right there. And that could actually be a tool that, that Ezreal kind of has against champions with dashes. Like, that's something he could do with Nocturne ult flying at him as well. Like, there is a little hidden thing Ezreal can do. He does have Ignite, though, no protective summoner spell, so, I really can tell that he's going to want to really push the fact that he's either AD or AP Ezreal, and he's going to have a strong early game.
Knowing he is against Akali, and it's pretty easy to realize that he will be against Akali, I really don't think they're going to try to pull a lane swap forcing Shen to mid, because it really lowers the roaming potential of the entire team. He already has teleport as well as his ultimate, so putting him in mid is not really going to help his global pressure, because he's already got those big abilities, and if you stick Akali in the top lane, then Shen can really just go anywhere he wants, but Akali can only go to the mid lane instead of forcing a double gank into the bot lane or even a triple gank. If Akali roams down, they also have Shen to teleport as well as a Nocturne gank, so I really don't think they're going to force Shen mid. So knowing that Ezreal is going to be going up against Akali, he should have taken Barrier. If you're taking Ignite on Ezreal, the only thing that's really going to help him with is, like we said, the early game pressure, but once level 6 hits, if he's close enough to use Ignite, then something might be a little bit wrong there. As Akali, if you get too close to Akali, you're basically dead as a squishy champion. Fortunately, as you said, he does have a couple of escapes in terms of Arcane Shift and Flash, but he still wants to be very, very careful, and he's not really going to be able to make the biggest use out of that Ignite in the early game. Although I do like the fact that Varus was the one that actually took barrier. He's going to be surviving that level 2 burst of the purple team a little bit more, certainly. So instead of having to burst down, 550 health, the purple team is going to have to instead burst down just 650 health or such. They're going to have to burst down a little bit more in order to actually get the kill, so that's going to be fairly good on his part. And of course, Lulu taking Exhaust as a support. We've been seeing Ignite on the supports a little bit more recently, and we even see it on Leona for that extra killing power. But Exhaust is going to be working really well against this lane, just saying, alright, Tristani, you want to rocket jump? I'll exhaust you in the middle of that. You don't do nearly as much damage anymore, and we can end up turning the fight, or at the very least getting out with fewer summoner spells popped.
Yeah, definitely. We have been seeing a lot of diversity in support summoner spells. Not so much in AD carry. We've seen a lot more defensive spells come out of them because people are realizing that, well, AD carries, they don't do as much damage now, so they actually have to be a little more skilled in their positioning and kiting in Season 3. And they need to survive that backline dive because bruisers have gotten a little more stronger, or have gotten a lot stronger in Season 3. So Barrier and Cleanse, very, very popular summoner spells on AD carries now.
Yeah, it really is. We've actually for a little bit seen sort of just the Ignite, Barrier, Cleanse being the summoner spells you take on AD carries, which I really like seeing the diversity where, as you said before, Season 2, it was all about Ignite. If you didn't take Ignite as an AD carry, you were pretty far behind. But with the inclusion of Barrier, it really gives another option for AD carries, and it really helps them out a lot because they can have a little bit more in terms of health that helps their positioning in the late game team fights, which is something you really want as an AD carry. If your positioning is lacking, then you can't do nearly as much damage as you want to. And for someone like Varus, Nocturne is going to be able to jump on him. He doesn't have an escape mechanism. He has, his ultimate, which can snare, but you're probably going to be using that for an initiation or a follow-up on a team fight. So the only thing he really has in order to escape something like that is Flash, so taking Barrier is really going to help him stay alive against Nocturne long enough for the rest of his team to go over there and peel for him, which is going to be doing very well for him, so we'll have to see how that ends up going. But in the early game, like we said before, hopefully the bottom lane for the blue team does play a little bit more passively. The mid lane, hopefully they'll play more offensively. And even in the top lane, I want to see the blue team play this a little bit more offensively. Maybe even get a jungler gank on Shen, at level 4 or so, because I think Hecarim should spend a little bit of time in the very early game near the bot lane. Maybe even starting red just to make sure that he can follow up on any of that aggression that the purple team might put out in that early game level 2 bot lane.
Yeah, and just looking real quick at the skins, we're actually going to hop in here, but I'd honestly just give it to Strategic Milk, and we didn't have much time for that at all. Getting right into this second game of TowerDiveTV tournament number 28, we will have Strategic Milk versus KingJewLulu in the I guess second match of the day. I'm your caster Sakimans here with Azaraki.
Rar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured you were probably waiting for that.
Yeah, and then looks like no pings coming out from either teams yet.
Both teams off to a fairly standard start. In terms of items, I mean, Ezreal actually going for a crystalline flask, which not really what I would have expected for him. I want to see something that gives him a little bit more damage to help him poke against Akali. As we said, he wants to be able to shut him down early game. And he's really not going to be able to make that much use of the crystalline flask because he outranges Akali. She's melee, he's not, and even if Akali uses some ranged abilities, Ezreal still has the Mystic Shot, which is fairly high range, but it looks like the red team, they're going to invade this.
Hecarim, oh, Shen failing that taunt completely. Hecarim gonna be able to just walk away. I'm sure they're just kind of kindly telling that Shen to hit your taunt next time.
Wow, that would have been a great catch out. It was only Hecarim there. No one else was able to follow up. He has Ghost. He doesn't even have Flash. That would have been an easy
very nice rocket jump, though. Gonna get the slow. Lulu forcing the Flash away. Blowing a Flash is not bad at all. And yeah, I don't think any summoners were blown for the red team, so very, very good pick. They're just running through the jungle, running a kill squad now, and they're going to be able to take the rates here.
They will be able to take the Wraiths. On the bright side, the blue team, they're going to be able to take their own blue buff. Unfortunately, I think they're going to be missing out on their red as Nocturne, it looks like, yeah, he is going to try to take the red buff away from the blue team. That's going to be really good, especially since there isn't really anyone on the blue team who can stop this. Everyone's either at blue or going to the bot lane, and if Varus and Lulu were to poke their heads in, you know, they'd probably end up dying because there are 3 members of the red team still there.
Yeah, and we are seeing Varus come in. Ooh, Tristana getting put out of position and almost taking a lot of hurt. Good rocket jump, though, by her, getting out of that damage. And we are going to see Nocturne going straight towards his blue. And Hecarim coming in for the red buff. You know, he really should have gone to the red buff to check first.
Yeah, I really like how the red team was basically putting pressure on the red buff as well, not only because they get to steal a buff, but also because they basically said, alright, we want this level 2 advantage in the bot lane. Invading like this will also help us prevent them from doing golems, because if the entire enemy team is near your red, then taking golems is a very risky maneuver, and they probably didn't want to risk it, so that they won't have the level advantage that much, as if they would have gone for golems. So both teams are going to hit level 2 at the exact same time, instead of one team hitting level 2 earlier. So at this point, blue team's really going to want to be a little bit more defensive, and this isn't it.
Yeah, they are going to go in for a little pseudo-engage here. Leona, both supports kind of doing a little damage going in, taking a little pain and backing out. Have to say, though, Lulu went a little farther deep in, and Ezreal doing a good job in early...
top lane, we have a Nocturne gank.
Ooh, we do. Elise, not sure if she has Repel yet, but she is going to be able to get away. Very nice flash there.
Yeah, forced a flash there. She did actually take Repel. I'm not sure if it was on cooldown or not, though, which is something that I actually didn't see. But it looks like Hecarim, he is going in the bot lane. There is a ward there, so they're going to see it, but he's going to be able to get in there.
Yeah, he is going to be really fast. Actually, no, he's just going to stand there, not going to try to even hurt him. But, oh, Varus putting down a lot of pain. So Hecarim, if anything, just relieved a little bit of pressure still. Not sure what he's planning to do here. Just kind of hovering around.
Yeah, I think what he's trying to do is zone the bot lane of the red team a little bit to try to prevent them from getting experience, because if they get a level advantage, they're going to be so far ahead of the blue team. They're going to have a lot more base damage as well as tankiness, so they're going to be able to initiate some of these fights that the blue team obviously does not want them to initiate. But in the mid lane...
Yeah, speaking of an initiation, Nocturne is there. Hecarim taking a lot of damage. Ezreal is now out of mana, not going to be able to help his friend. And that is going to be first blood picked up by Nocturne. Here comes Elise, missing her stun, though. Going to be putting down damage on Akali, but taking so much damage herself. She's going to be taken down. Ezreal igniting that Akali, not going to be able to pick her up, though. And he had his flash. I don't know why he didn't flash an auto attack. But I guess he didn't think it was worth it in the bot lane. Leona's going to try to go on, but Tristana taking just a little too much pain there.
Yeah, Leona has really not been very good with her initiations so far in this game. She's missed about 2 or 3 Zenith Blades. Oh, barrier popped for Tristana. She's going to have to back out of this and maybe even go back. This is huge for the blue team. They're off to such an early lead. And if Leona would have landed some of her Zenith Blades, I think this would have been a very different story. But she's missed 2 or 3 of them already. And blue team was basically able to capitalize on that, saying, alright, you missed your Zenith Blade, you have no way of initiating now, we're just going to poke down Tristana, and that's exactly what they've done. Great job on the blue team to take advantage of that, and unfortunately, like I said, Leona not able to land those Zenith Blades.
Yeah, Strategic Milk, definitely their bot lane, winning out over Tristana, you know, in the early game, but Varus doesn't scale quite as hard as Tristana, but that mid lane fight, just Akali with 1 kill and 1 assist already, and Nocturne with the equivalent. Nocturne hasn't even backed yet, so he's going to get possibly a wriggle, an early wriggles, or we could see him go for some more defensive items. Yeah, he will go for the Spirit Stone. And, you know, we are seeing that overall it looks like KingJewLulu is leading slightly overall on the map, but bot lane's pretty important.
Yeah, bot lane is, especially when Tristana is the one being shut down. Her mid game's really going to suffer from this, since they're still putting out a lot of poke on her.
Hecarim in the mid lane did engage, but Akali very nice shroud and just walks away.
Oh, that was a great shroud, basically denying the gank right then and there. And Ezreal, I really still don't think it was the best idea to take a crystalline flask. He could have even gone for a He could have gone for a Fairy Charm as well, but level 6 Akali trying to dash, see how much she can poke down, and Ezreal is completely out of mana right now. The Crystalline Flask not helping him nearly as much as it needs to be, so he's just going to have to go back instead. Very good pressure that Akali's putting on.
Yeah, I do have to say that this Ezreal not expending his mana very well. And Hecarim coming in, though, doing a lot of damage. Also low on mana, though. Not going to be able to continually fight. And the ult not really hitting anyone. That actually might have netted a kill for Hecarim if that connected. So a bit of a missed opportunity there. But I will have to say that this Ezreal not doing a good job at conserving his mana pool at all.
Yeah, he's really not. He's gotten a Chalice, so that's going to help him out a little bit in the bot lane. A few trades going down as they're still trying to poke onto Tristana, and still, Leona's not landing her Zenith Blades. It's such an important part of her kit, and if you can't land it, you're going to be very far behind. And red team, they're
Tristana
actually
taking a lot of damage, being taken out really low. The snipe is going to be here. Very nice flash by Tristana, and Leona hitting the skills, CCing Varus, and actually don't know why Varus is coming down, but oh, there's the Shen taunt coming in. Nocturne gonna be able to ult in, not gonna quite make it. Now Lulu's in trouble. Strategic Milk flashing away. Fear going off, but they're gonna choose not to dive that tower as they do have Lulu, and that was a good choice. Hecarim was clippity-clopping behind the tower, would have been there in moments' notice.
Yeah, I think Varus just tried to chase that a little bit too far. As soon as he saw the fact that Tristana flashed out of range, he should have just hightailed it straight backwards, going back to his own tower, but he, extended a little bit farther over there. Tristana did not get the assist, so they're still ahead in the bot lane. However, they just did give a kill to Shen, so Shen's going to be a little bit farther ahead. He got his Giant's Belt. That's really big for him. As I said before, he's going to be able to stay in the top lane and just sort of farm up. He's not going to take all that much damage with that Giant's Belt, so it's a really good item for him, and he's going to stay pretty healthy for whenever he wants to use his ult to come in for a gank. And as I was saying before, AP Ezreal, he really doesn't do too much damage, so it's hard for him to harass unless he spams his abilities. So I would have wanted to see something like a Fairy Charm or something with a little bit more longevity rather than a Crystalline Flask on him as a starting item. So unfortunately, he is a little bit farther behind in the mid lane, down by CS, and Akali has also picked up that one kill. Yeah,
that's really not good when Akali has such a strong late game and Ezreal's really more geared towards the early game, but we are going to see a roam by Akali coming in here. She is not sure if they know. Yeah, they do know, but so much burst damage going down on Lulu. Going to be blown up right there. Varus ult does go down, and Akali is going to get a double kill for that roam. She is so far ahead, 3-1, 3-0-1 at 9 minutes in.
Oh, wow, I love the amount of roaming that the red team is doing. They've taken initiations all over the map. Akali's gotten 3 kills so far. She's going to be so far ahead of Ezreal, and it's going to be really hard for him to get back into this. And he takes a little bit of damage. Well, he takes half of his damage, a little bit more than a little bit. But Akali expressing the amount of early game power that she has.
It looks like we could see an engagement in the top lane, but very, very nice stun by Elise. Oh, Hecarim almost getting recaught out. The red buff being applied. Not going to be able to slow him enough, though. He is a fast pony.
And once again, the red team putting pressure all around the map. Pony not really charging up into any lanes all that often. He's really just sort of playing more defensive jungler, trying to counter gank as much as possible.
Ooh, there goes the Ezreal. Very nice connection right there. And, ooh, very well aimed skill shots. Ezreal making up a little bit, and that is a shutdown, so that will help it get him back in the game a little bit. So good job by that Ezreal. Very nice. And it looks like bot lane we are going to see just trades coming out, but Tristana can't really win him at this point. Varus is up a BF sword.
Yeah, Caitlyn did pick up a little bit of gold off those 2 assists when Akali gank, but she hasn't gone back in order to be able to use them. But, ooh, an ultimate.
Very, very nice ult there. Oh, Lulu ulting the wrong person, but it's not going to matter. But actually, it will. It will matter a lot because Varus is going to get picked up right there. Very, very nice last-ditch Q right there. A little explosive shot active. Going to be ticking down his health and eventually getting the kill.
And that's very true. And it looks like in the bot lane, as we said before, Varus was ahead, but at this point Tristan is now the one ahead. She was able to get that Ignite kill on to Varus, and not only that, but once again she picked up those 2 assists. She's able to get a Bilgewater Cutlass here. A lot more sustain, as well as a little bit more burst when she goes to use the active when she rocket jumps in on a fight. So, once again, if Leona can land...
Here comes Nocturne top lane here. Elise has nowhere to jump to, but minions coming in. Not going to be enough. Flash going to be blown, and that will be her safety under the tower there. very good Nocturne ult there.
Kali's
not
on the
seen at
back,
all,
though.
but-
She might be looking for a tower dive.
Ooh, yeah, we could see one. We are seeing Shen push the minions. And there's the engagement there. Elise comes in, gets bursted down. Her repel probably not up yet.
And there was a very quick kill for Akali. Once again, the red team is really just out-roaming the blue team. We haven't really seen any mid-lane ganks from Ezreal. He hasn't even fired his ultimate to a different lane. Hecarim, as we said before, is on the defensive. He's trying to run clean up for any fight that happens instead of using his own ganking potential. So really, really commanding lead by the red team, even though they're 4,000 gold ahead, which is pretty substantial actually this early into the game. Hecarim's gonna try something mid lane, but it's too pushed. He can't really do anything about it. And as a result, there's no pressure in the top lane. They're gonna be able to take that top tower, first tower of the entire game. It's gonna give red team more map control on top of that.
Yeah, KingJewLulu is trying to say that right. The first, ooh, there is an engagement in the bot lane here, jumping on there, but very nice knockup by Lulu. Looks like Varus ult did go out, and now they're gonna have to back off just on doing a little more damage than they'd like, and I think they still probably could have won that fight. They were just, oh, well, they are low on mana, but they might have been a little scared to engage there. They could have put down a lot more hurt. Ooh, here comes Shen ult though. Tower dive coming out. Tristana though, ooh, gets the kill. Very nice job there. Knew exactly how much damage she had and took advantage of that, getting Lulu out of the fight. Ooh, but here comes Hecarim, feared under the tower, but unfortunately Tristana is now out. Shen too tanky with that giant spell. Very nice Ezreal. Not going to be able to pick him up though, and actually Nocturne might punish Ezreal here with a very nice shift. Can he pick him up? The Q goes out, doesn't quite hit. Particles away from Ezreal. Piano will be walking away, but here comes Akali. Gonna look for that tower dive, and he will pick that up.
I think the red team is really liking the name of this tournament because they've pulled off so many tower dives so far. It's very, very strong play on their part, and they're pulling off invades as well. This is, I think, blue team hasn't even gotten a red buff yet. Red team's just stealing all of those red buffs. Being on the red team, I guess that's what they're supposed to do, isn't it? But it looks like Nocturne is pushing down the mid lane while the rest of that is happening, and he's almost going to be able to take the tower, another tower for their team. Well, unfortunately, Hecarim was there, able to stop that push, but they're now almost 6,000 gold ahead. They're quite far ahead in their builds, and Akali actually hasn't gone back in quite a while. She's sitting on 1,600 gold. She'll probably be able to get even a needlessly large rod if she decides to go for that, but I think she might actually go for a Haunting Guise as well as something else. Ooh, a Bilgewater Cutlass going straight for the Gunblade on Akali.
Yeah, Gunblade, a pretty strong item on Akali. We could actually, I mean, a Bork wouldn't be the worst item, but definitely Bilgewater, Gunblade, good item. And actually, Hecarim coming in here might catch out Tristana, but again, just kind of backs out, runs in and backs off, possibly popping that speed a little too early.
Although I do like how Hecarim did not actually decide to ult. Well, actually, his ult was down, but either way, it wouldn't have been the greatest decision to ultimate because Tristana has Rocket Jump. It's an amazing disengage that helps her out quite a bit. And now it looks like Shen is going to try to pull an invade on the enemy team's blue buff.
Leona in the bot lane comes in. Varus taking a lot of pain right here. Lulu being forced to ult, but he's still going down. Very nice, Leona, hitting all her things. Leona getting exhausted. Not really the best job right there. Tristana getting that knockback on Lulu. Gonna be able to pick up a double kill. So this Tristana threw herself back in the game. And it looks like red team is now winning in all lanes.
Yeah, in the mid lane we have Hecarim trying to gank.
Yeah, unfortunately his fear does not hit. We have Nocturne coming in. Hecarim now in trouble with Akali's burst damage and Nocturne sustained damage. Gonna be able to pick that up. Nanner doing a great job on Akali, currently 6-1, and this tower, mid tower, probably gonna fall.
I really don't think it was a great idea for Hecarim to stay there, but it looks like Ezreal's being taken down onto the tower. The Ignite goes off, and he will end up being killed.
Ezreal tried to pick up that Akali, barely not. Ignite going down one tick away.
As I was saying before, I don't like the fact that Hecarim tried to use a blind ultimate He did not see Akali. Akali had already used the Shroud, and he just kind of guessed, alright, I think she's going to keep walking in this direction, but that's actually not what happened. She walked in the opposite direction, ended up missing the fear, and it was a really bad engagement on his part. So the red team still taking a commanding victory in this game, and once again, even just like the last game, we're seeing the win is basically coming from roaming and jungler pressure. Nocturne's been placing ganks all around the map, and so has Akali even. They've been getting so many kills across the board between them. Akali's already got her Gunblade. The active on that is going to help her do even more burst damage whenever she tries to go in and attack someone, so it's really, really hard to kill Akali. She's very slippery with her Shroud, she's got a lot of Spell Vamp and Lifesteal on Hextech Gunblade, and she can basically just dive into the backline and assassinate whoever she chooses.
Yeah, and speaking of assassinating whoever he chooses, Lulu getting engaged on there. Leona ult slowing her. Going to be helping keep her there, and it looks like Nanner going to be picking up that kill. Elise does teleport in there, getting the stun on Akali. Very nice job. And there was a missed Varus ult and a Shen ult. Not sure what she's going to be able to do there. Yeah, Shen comes out in the wrong place.
It looks like Nocturne is trying to delay the backline as much as he can, killing Hecarim.
Yeah, he is going to get that, and very nice Zenith Blade landing onto Elise. Going to be able to burst her down. No, Flash goes out, Akali ult goes down, Repel goes up, and now she's like, fine, I'll get Ezreal instead. There comes the Nocturne ult, and Elise gets burst down by Shen, who did wait under the tower. Very, very nice job, and no kills picked up in that fight by the blue team.
Yeah, that was a full ace. I think Lulu just barely spawned after that kill was... I guess Tristana just kind of wanted to go for the quicker way back. And by quicker, I mean it would have been quicker if she would have backed, so I'm not sure what she's doing there. Maybe just trolling a little bit, unfortunately. But the red team, they are in a commanding lead, 12k gold ahead before 20 minutes into the game. These games so far today have been pretty stompy. Akali's got 9-1. Let's see how much gold she has banked up, about 900. Just a couple more minions or this tower, and she'll be able to go back and pick up a Void Staff, which might be what she's going for, but I really think that the item that she will be going for is going to be a Rylai's, really helping her out with her survivability.
Ooh, we are going to see a gang on Akali taking a lot of damage though, and revealed under the tower. Repel going to be able to hit there, and it looks like she's taking solo Hecarim ult. Not really even necessary at that point, but very, very nice kill. That is going to give them a big chunk of gold. Still, at this point, they're about 10k behind. That's almost, unrecoverable, but it still is. There's always the late game, and speaking of the late game, Hecarim coming mid lane, not going to do anything.
Unfortunately, I think the late game of Red Team is either going to be stronger or, it's going to be a really long time for the Blue Team to catch back up in terms of their items. They're really going to have to wait this out until everyone's 6 items, which is going to be really, really hard because they're so far behind that Red Team can put pressure wherever they want, and even if they try to poke into the enemy base, they're still going to be ahead.
Ooh, and now it looks like Lulu getting engaged on Fear does go down. Tristana is there, ult being forced to blow on Strategic Milk, being taken down right there, and now they're going after Piano there, looking to mash some keys, and it looks like he will get destroyed fairly fast by Nocturne's Fear and his slow right there. Red buff, a very helpful tool. And now Hecarim actually in a lot of trouble, trying to get back to his base, but he's going to get cut off by 3 members of the red team, avoiding that jump. Fortunately, it's not going to be enough. Still going to get bursted down. And now there's the Nocturne ult, looking to catch out even more members. Nocturne continuing to go very tanky. Not going to have anyone to repel to, so he's going to be able to be bursted down by that Akali. Shen coming in and even taunting, making it so she just can't get away.
Weird, Akali did actually die way back, but she didn't buy anything from that. I think she should have bought a giant spell or something to build to the Rylai's, but they're diving again.
Yeah, they are. Akali having those ult charges, trying to catch this Varus. Going to be able to catch him. Varus, not a very mobile champion. And they could very well get the inhibitor out of this. Lulu ult is down. Ezreal ult is up, but I'm not sure. Yeah, that's not going to be able to force them away from this tower. But Hecarim might be able to. Not sure if that was the smartest engagement, but he is in the middle of the fight. Not even popping his regeneration. So he's not going to be able to get that. Maybe, I'm not sure what happened there, but he just got bursted. That wasn't the best engagement.
And it looks like they're going to take an inhibitor from this, but going on to Lulu again. Wow, they're just fighting this team fight forever.
Akali continuing to dive in. No, going to get taken down by the tower. They are at least, though, taking a lot of damage from Shen. Going to be taken down, and now actually Tristana taking a lot of pain from this Varus. Ezreal is there as well. Very nice. Leona all turning around the fight, but Ezreal's still there, getting stunned by that shield. And yep, they're going to be able to pick up that Ezreal and get out. Piano getting crushed again. Not sure if this is the best idea to stay here. Hecarim is here, but he's not going to choose to go after Tristana. Seeing what happened to his buddy, just going to push away the minions.
Wow. That red team, they just tried to stay there as long as they can, and it looks like this will be a surrender vote. GG's coming out. The blue team forced to surrender. Red team takes this game. Second game of the day. It is a victory. Very, very convincing victory.
Yeah, that was... You know, these games are fairly one-sided after a while, but they have been good games nonetheless. They have been very entertaining and just having, you know, a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think, like I said before, the turning point in this game, there wasn't really a single turning point. It was just the amount of jungle and even mid lane pressure in this game that the purple team was able to do. They had ganks all around the map by not only Nocturne, but Akali as well. And it's just really, really great play on their part. Purple team outplaying the blue team by far, especially in the early game. And even though Leona wasn't able to land those Zenith Blades early game, she did redeem herself, come back near the mid game, and land a ton of skill shots, whether it be Zenith Blade or her ultimate. So both teams playing really, really well in that respect. But unfortunately, the blue team, they just weren't able to make enough pressure out around the map. Like I said, Hecarim, he was forced to play defensive jungler. He was trying to counter gank, he was trying to do damage control whenever one of his team would die just to make sure the enemy wouldn't take it. And as Hecarim, that's not really what you want to do because you do have pretty good ganking potential, especially if you have red buff. So it's an unfortunate loss for the blue team, but a good victory for the purple team.